guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal talking about movies. This is a very special episode, I think, probably for everyone. I know certainly for me. We're going to be discussing Robin Williams in all of his amazing, different, multi-talented capacities. I was thinking this whole week, ever since the guys figured out what they were going to talk about today, and I said, how can I introduce Robin Williams? I speak to people all over the world from different cultures, different generations, and I've never yet met anyone who did not know, love, and appreciate Robin Williams. When he passed away, many people literally till today still remember what they were doing in that moment when they saw that headline come in on the news. It was something that was so heartbreaking that for weeks you had mourners gathered throughout the entire world, standing on desks, in commemorating Dead Poets Society, those memorable moments, those memorable scenes. You had fans going to his house in Napa and leaving things at the gate. You had people sobbing in the streets. It really was a shocking event, much like John Lennon passing away or Michael Jackson. Robin Williams' career was not just about how talented he was as a stand-up comedian and a comedic actor and an improv actor and a friend and a dramatic actor. It's not even just about the fact that he had a full spectrum of skills. He could pull anything out of his toolbox, kind of like a Bugs Bunny. It was because he had heart, he had soul, and everybody feels till today that we knew him on an individual level. He, unlike many other performers, he was able to construct heart bonds and soul ties with his audience and with everyone all over the world who engaged with his performances. There's nobody that I'm aware of who has not been touched by at least one of his films. I have no idea how the guys came up with their top five, but I know that each of them also had runners up and honorable mentions, because it's almost impossible to just come up with a top five for Robin Williams. I personally feel like no matter what mood I'm in, there's a Robin Williams film that can reflect and touch me in that moment, because he has had such a varied career. There's no way to really introduce Robin Williams. There's no way to cover his career, but dog nabbit, we're going to try. Let me bring up your creator and host, Manny Zamora, and his co-host and producer, Rory Penland. Hey, guys, how are we going to tackle this one?
Well, after that intro, which was extremely depressing.
There's no popcorn anymore. You can't even eat anymore.
I had a bag of popcorn. I was going to start the show with a comedy eating white cheddar popcorn.
And I screwed the pooch right on that one. What would Robin Williams say?
And she starts out of the gate with, Robin Williams was dead, and he had died.
He's still dead, and he's dead today.
And we all remember where we were when he died. And for years after. Oh, my God. Do you think Robin would have wanted that?
Well, son of a biscuit eater.
Son of a biscuit eater, Renee.
They taught me. Manny just taught me that backstage.
I'm like, why? No.
So I should have brought you guys up and you guys
up right at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, we were 7 minutes late because we're doing shtick that we normally do when we first get together. And he comes up with son of a biscuit eater, which I haven't heard in 10 years.
Son of a biscuit eater.
And she'd never heard it, so she was cracking up. She was dying. I'm eating popcorn, and I had no idea she was going to start the show like that. It's like
That was a little flaccid. We all went flaccid. Well, here's the thing. I could not come up with it. I was like, how do I do a monologue? So I said, I'm going to do it in the moment. I'm just going to do it in the moment. There's no way to write something. I mean, how do you come up with like 1 minute of Robin Williams? I just said what was on my heart, but I was in a levity. We were all very silly. I have no idea, but I think of Robin Williams. I'm still mourning him.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed off.
That was very good.
That's for sure.
Thank you, Manny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
I think that was Robin Williams. I was channeling.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. There you go. Oh yeah, do some impressions. Let's start off that way, guys. Can you guys do your?
Hello, Pan. Oh, hello, Pan. How are you?
Oh, there's Pan. Oh, we're gonna cook on her. We're gonna do some bacon and eggs on.
Are you talking about a cooking pan?
Yeah,
cooking. I thought it was a Greek pan.
It's very frenetic, and like I feel anxious whenever I hear him. What's the ho-hos? Why is there always so much ho-ho?
That's him laughing. He's laughing his own shtick when he's doing it.
He's very hairy.
But then when he's serious, he's all very quiet. Well, so performing is very important.
Yes.
And I'm like,
what
are you saying?
What are you saying? He gets very understated sometimes too. He's a very interesting fella.
Suddenly he's like,
that's when he's not on cocaine, I guess.
That's what he's. Oh, okay, let's go there.
Hey, in the 80s, the 70s, in the 80s and the 70s, if you were not on cocaine, you probably had something wrong with you. He wasn't on that.
Well, that would explain a lot of things.
Oh. It's 1987, isn't it? Okay. Anyways, look at.
Is Miami Vice on?
We just watched Miami Vice around 2 weeks straight. It's snorting.
I started coming in 88. What can I say?
Okay. All right. Anyways. All right. Here's the thing. So when you guys think Robin Williams, what do you guys think of?
Laughter, comedy.
Yeah.
And my picks reflect that. I know he's done a lot of dramatic turns in films, but when I go to see a film with Robin Williams in it, I don't go to see Shakespeare. I go to see Robin Williams, being funny, being comical, because that's what he was best at,
Mm-hmm. But he makes you cry too, though. I mean, he's kind of the master. Gosh, he's so good at that. He's so good at just sitting there and making people cry. Dead Poets Society, Fisher King. It's not working on Rory. Rory, you're the only person I've ever met. Okay, well, what about you, Manny? I mean,
I'm all about the laughs. And again, I thought Robin was all about the laughs. In the beginning, he was. He
was I think he's noted as that. Manny, what do you think?
Well, like a lot of people, I was introduced to Robin Williams through, of course, Mork and Mindy, the show from, his comedy show, which is actually a spinoff from Happy Days, of all things.
Oh, right.
They did a special episode where they introduced Mork, and of course, Williams was such a delight that they were like, we need to give this guy his own show. And so they spun it off, and it became Mork and Mindy. And it just kind of went from there, like a lot of great comedians and dramatic actors who became dramatic actors, like Tom Hanks. It's another good example. But Williams, there was just something special about him right from the beginning. You could just tell that he was so different from every other comedian, every other sitcom star at the time. There was that frenetic action about him. Just every movement was like filled with energy. He didn't just tell a joke. That rapid fire ability of his to just come up with some of the greatest lines ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would go out into the crowd, and he had a huge stockpile of lines that he used, that he developed while he was working, comedy rooms. Yeah. So that when he went out with a crowd, no matter what he got from the crowd, he had some zinger to come back with. And like you said, it was that rapid fire of ding, 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 ding. It was amazing to watch him perform. And even more amazing that he didn't burn himself out right away. He was able to continue to do it again and again and again. And my feeling is that somebody saw his act, told him, why don't you go down for the audition for Happy Days? They didn't know what he could do. I mean, I'm sure the audition was crazy because it was Robin, but it probably wasn't until after they really did see him work his routine with just a normal crowd that they said, we need to give this guy his own show. We need to work up something, write something for this guy. We need to take him to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably right. I mean, he was, I don't, I mean, anything we say about Robin Williams feels like so. It's like it's not enough.
Yeah.
It was just he was just that tremendous a talent
Yes.
that words are inadequate to describe just how talented he was.
There's no doubt he was very special.
So, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start the ranking. Let the ranking begin.
Yeah, let's start with Rory. Since
I was
all
going to
about
say
the
the same
comedy.
thing. I was going to go, yeah, let Manny say he's number one first.
Isn't that sweet? Y'all are so sweet. Sweet as a biscuit
Because I'm going to surprise you with my number one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
We're
You
waiting.
can do it.
We're like the two chipmunks. No, after you, please. No,
After you. No, after you.
No, please, after you.
Are you sure you guys are actors and show people? Because show people can be very cutthroat, It's
all right.
delightful.
My first pick, my absolute number one movie with Robin Williams, I can watch it again and again and again. I love it so much, is Popeye. I adore the world that Robert Altman created with Popeye. And Williams's performance as a real-life Popeye is exactly how you would imagine a real-life Popeye to be. He does a fantastic job. It was a wonderful casting for that movie. Shelley Duvall was perfect as Olive Oyl. You had so many other character actors. As the one that really pops to mind is physical comic Bill Irwin plays one of the town members. He's always kicking his hat around.
Mm-hmm.
With those big
He
shoes.
has that weird neck thing where he like crunches down.
Yes, where they squish him down and it's
it's a living cartoon almost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Irwin was a master at physical comedy, and again, Williams was just chewing up the scenery, being Popeye, and they let him improvise. So he got lines like, "Oh, what are you gonna name him? Baby Oil?" So it's just full of fun. That movie.
Yeah. And he really worked on getting the Popeye voice.
The squinky eye.
Down. The squinky eye.
And
What squinky eye?
The music is delightful. I don't know why we haven't heard more music from Mr. Newman, who did the music for that. It just amazes me that there are no more musicals that I can find other than Popeye's. Wonderful music.
I know. Yeah. The music was wonderful. I mean, it's a musical, but the songs aren't. I mean, they don't go to the usual sort of big moments that you see in musicals. It's very understated. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you really have to listen to the lyrics.
How it never went to Broadway, I still don't know, because it would be a wonderful Broadway show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I love Popeye. Now it's one of my honorable mentions. It didn't make my top 5 list, but I love that movie. I've seen that movie a bunch of times as well, and the makeup effects, the bulgy arms and the eye and everything. Yeah, exactly. And Shelley Duvall, like you said, Shelley Duvall, everybody always said that she was born to play Olive Oyl, and she played Olive Oyl, and it was perfect. The voice, everything.
And amazingly, she did this at around the same time. I think she had just finished The Shining, which she was
traumatized.
She was traumatized from doing The Shining. Yeah. So she needed something playful and caring after working with Nicholson and Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. So and another standout to me is also Ray Walston as the Commodore.
Pappy.
As Pappy.
Paul Smith is Bluto.
Right.
Richard Libertini is the vendor. Mm-hmm. Donald Moffat is the tax collector who everybody hates. just an unbelievable cast for that. Donovan Scott is also in it. The little woman plays the mother of the big.
Oh yeah,
Linda Hunt.
Linda Hunt, she was a real, very.
That was an early
tiny
role for
woman.
her.
Yeah, with Mama, big palooka, the big. And I kept wondering, are they going to do the song? Are they going to do the song? And then sure enough, at the end, Robin Williams gets to sing the Popeye song.
The original Popeye song.
The original Popeye song, yeah. And he said he watched all the Max Fleischer cartoons and really, really paid attention and tried to get that cadence and try to
I'm starting to the finish because I eat me spinach on Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yeah, Aleph. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, excellent. Good choice.
Even throwing those little skip of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
Popeye would
really,
do it. Popeye would do it. He's humming him to himself like when he's on his way to Olive's house. Oh, skip it up here, skip it up here. He managed
and
to
I gotta
slide
say,
over.
I gotta give a little shout out to my little hometown here. The newspaper here was one of the first newspapers to run the original EC Cigar Popeye comic strip.
Oh, okay.
We had that, yeah. For whatever that's worth.
I thought you were going to say that they had created Sweet Haven like right outside your town or something. I was waiting for
Yeah,
it.
no, we're not that creative.
Wait, Manny, you have to say your town. You have to say what, paper and all that for people who don't know.
Oh no, I don't want people to know.
Ah,
Okay.
No, it's a little town. It's a little town called Victoria, and we're a geographical oddity. We're 2 hours from everywhere.
Literally everywhere, even Mars.
Even Mars, yeah.
Even New York.
Even Sweet Haven. Yeah, and the paper's called the Victoria Advocate.
Which is a great name for.
It's a great name.
I love that name. As a lawyer, I approve. I love
the
it.
Advocate, huh?
The Advocate, and yeah, I worked there for 30 odd years, and I was a graphic designer there, and anyway, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
He was laying out the comic strips there.
Yeah, and so yeah.
And so that was the first. What did you say it was? It was the first.
We were the first to publish Cigar's original comic strip. Cigar was the guy who drew Popeye.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's
Give
awesome.
that man a cigar.
They need to have. Do they have like signs of him around town and stuff?
No, we had a poster. We had a published image for a while, but then I think the owner decided to abscond with it and took it home with him. So, but we had it up on the wall for a long time. But then we had we had a change of management, and things became different. And anyway, it's a long story. That
sounds like a documentary. That should be a documentary.
I
think you just did a trailer for a documentary that I want to go watch on Netflix tonight, and it's just not available. Darn it.
The rise and fall of the Victoria Advocate.
Yes, I love it. And it would show like the newspaper and it would be on flames.
Second oldest newspaper in Texas, by the way.
There you go.
Huh.
That's what you call it.
What would the first
call
be?
the documentary? The second?
First one was paper out of Galveston. I think it was the Galveston Tribune. I think it was
okay.
Yeah,
Galveston, oh Galveston.
Why is it that every time you hear the word Galveston, you have to sing that song? I was thinking the same thing. I was humming it to myself just as you started it.
Yeah,
it's a law now.
I think it's a law. It's kind of like like if I do this now. Wait, Rory, if you and I do this, it's mandated by law that Manny will know what to do. The stars at night
are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah.
You see, because otherwise there would be a ranger that would come to his door and haul him off. So he had to do that.
Ranger.
All right, I apologize.
The stars are bright and they shine at night.
That's where I learned about that law, was from that movie.
Yes.
I mean, documentary. I always thought Pee-wee's Big Adventure was a documentary. Anyways, all right, I'm leaving.
My God, I should never leave.
Man, oh man.
All right, so my first.
What's your number one?
So my number one is, and again, mine's a little bit more of a mix of his serious and his comedic ones. So my number one is The Fisher King.
Oh, interesting.
And for two reasons. One, of course, is obviously Williams' performance, but the other is that it's directed by Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite directors. He,
Yes.
of course, he directed all the Monty Python movies. He directed The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which featured, which was actually before this movie, and it featured a great little cameo by Williams as the King of the Moon.
Yes,
One of the best.
Munchausen is in my honorable mention list
Oh,
because it is
cool.
such a wonderful performance.
Yes. I have no time for flatulence and orgasms. Just great little cameo, and so that led to his performance in Fisher King. And even though, I mean, technically this is Jeff Williams, Jeff Bridges' movie. I mean, he's the star of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Williams' performance as the homeless man Perry. I mean, that's what drives the plot, and Williams' performance, you know, it's so nuanced. So I mean, it could have just played crazy for the entire movie,
Right?
but it had those moments of lucidity and that wonderful little kind of romantic plot with him and Amanda Plummer.
Yes.
And all that, and a standout performance by Mercedes Ruehl as Jack, Jeff Bridges' character, as his girlfriend. In fact, I was looking it up on Wikipedia of all things, and she got the most nominations and actually won a lot of awards for her performance over Williams and Jeff Bridges. But I mean, not to take anything away from Bridges, who's a wonderful actor as well. And there's little cameos as well. David Hyde Pierce is in the movie as his agent. Michael Jeter has a wonderful little cameo as they just call him the homeless cabaret singer, who goes to Amanda Plummer's office with these balloons, and he sings this little song to get her to go to this video store that Jack works at. And yeah, overall the plot it's a dark comedy. It's not a black comedy, but it's a dark comedy. I mean, there are some very funny bits in it, of course, from Williams, but overall it's a pretty serious story, and it's about redemption and recovery. Both these men have been absolutely traumatized by events in their lives, and of course, when we discover what actually connects them, it makes it even more tragic, but also hopeful at the end. And normally I don't really like happy endings when they feel tacked on. Like speaking of Gilliam, the studio took over the movie Brazil and tacked on, re-edited the ending to give it a happy ending, but before it didn't. And so I saw this movie, and the ending did not feel forced. It did not feel like, oh, they've changed the ending, like that how the movie is supposed to end, and it does have a happy ending. So I'm so glad about that.
The story that I had heard is the two producers that hired him to direct this film were taking a big gamble on him because he was notorious for going way over budget on his movies, and again he had to fight with the studio over Brazil, and so it was almost as if nobody wanted to touch him, basically. But these girls took a chance with him, said, look, if you can come in under budget, which he did, he actually did it. He came in under budget on the film, and produced, again, The Fisher King is a wonderful movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, unfortunately, so it didn't make my list. It should get an honorable mention from me. It is a wonderful showcase of talent. Yes.
Yeah.
Acting wise and director wise and producer wise.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can really tell Gilliam put his all into it. Every shot is just gorgeous, and the kind of subtle subplots about the kind of the class distinctions between upper class New Yorkers and the homeless population. And there's a horrific scene early in the movie where where Bridges' character Jack is attempting to do away with himself and these two hoodlums, these two punks, who sort of self-appointed neighborhood guardians, almost try to set him on fire, which actually does happen or did happen to homeless people. And of course he's rescued by Robin Williams and some of the other homeless men, and that's how they wind up meeting together. I mean, the whole
I knew
story.
there was a reason why I wanted to look this up. The producers were Deborah Hill, of all people, and Linda Obst.
Yeah,
They were the producers of the film, and they were the ones that said, we want this film done, and we want Terry Gilliam to direct it because we feel he'll do a good job with it. And the studio, I'm sure, was aghast. He's never going to go way over budget.
Yeah.
But they kept him in line, and again, it was a wonderful time for all on board. From what I saw, again, I watched one of those DVD extra, making of that they were so famous back in the 80s, 90s, and it told the story of how they gave Gilliam a second chance in Hollywood.
Yeah. And he managed to. I mean, there's still those moments of sort of Gillianisms, the crazy imagery.
Right, the flaming horse.
The flaming horse, yeah, the red knight. And when you find out what that actually represents, it's just that's one of probably the most heartbreaking and horrific moments in the movie. And for anybody who doesn't know, since we're talking about this movie, what the movie's about is Jeff Bridges plays Jack, who's a radio DJ, kind of a shock jock in New York, and he gives some very bad advice to a very disturbed person who winds up murdering a bunch of people in his restaurant. And it turns out, and this is a spoiler here, it turns out that Robin Williams' character, he and his wife were at that restaurant at that moment, and she winds up getting killed. And he's actually a college professor, and he snaps. He just has this psychotic break, and that's why he winds up homeless. And so the two men, so that's the connection between these two men, and both of them wind up helping each other achieve redemption, and that's why I said about redemption and recovery, because Robin Williams, his character of Harry, helps Jack overcome his trauma and his guilt, that deep-seated guilt about what happened, and he helps him kind of recover from the trauma of his wife's death and all that through this search for the Holy Grail of all things, which again is kind of a callback to
Monty Python and the
Holy Grail, but except this is a little bit more serious version of that. So anyway, all right. So
I think our number 2 is probably the same movie. That's my guess, and that's maybe Mrs. Doubtfire.
No.
Okay.
Close, but no.
All right.
But it is in my top 5. I'll tell you that.
Mrs. Doubtfire is an incredible performance by Williams again. It is drag humor, but who better to do it than Robin Williams, the son of San Francisco, and again a comedy genius, and he is so wonderful as the character, and a great cast with Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan. And William's scene where he's trying to get a job at the beginning of the movie is worth the price of admission alone, where he does all the characters and the woman is just like stone faced.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, delightful movie, and again, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry, because he's a husband who's trying to just be with his kids. And we talked at length about Sally Field's performance in this.
Right.
It's a wonderful performance. All the way around, and again, a delightful movie, lots of laughs, and again, his character of Miss Virginia Doubtfire, oh my puppets. Robert Prosky is in it as the TV producer as well. Just wonderful, wonderful cast.
One of the great character actors who's like in everything.
If you can look it up on YouTube, there is somebody brilliantly put a trailer together for the movie as a thriller.
Oh,
With
okay.
yes, with Mrs. Doubtfire looking like evil out the window. It's
Give it a
a
Hitchcockian
serial
treatment.
killer kind of Hitchcockian kind of thing. Yeah,
Wow. I'm gonna
it's
have to look at it,
great.
yeah.
It is. It just blew my socks off when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And it's got ominous music playing throughout.
Nice.
You should definitely look that up. But again, if you're feeling sad, that's a good movie to watch. To just kind of bring your spirits up. If life's getting you down.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Harvey Fierstein, come on, it's got Harvey Fierstein.
Yeah. Doesn't I forget? Does he? Somebody plays the brother who's the makeup
That's
effects
Harvey
guy.
Fierstein.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. And
you
makes him
haven't
up.
seen it in a while.
I haven't seen it in a while. I'll admit that one. I'll have to admit that. Yeah, but it is a good movie. It's a wonderful movie. And
You're overdue. You need to see that movie again.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. But anyway, all right.
Number 3 or you're number 2.
So my number 2 is Dead Poets Society.
Okay.
Another of his.
That's my number 3.
Well, that's interesting. So we have them kind of reversed because my number 3 is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, again, another wonderful performance from Williams as this very intelligent, very astute teacher who comes to this kind of. It's, we talked about Jack Black and we talked about School of Rock, and this is kind of the serious version of School of Rock.
This is where School of Rock came from, I think.
Yeah, instead of teaching them music, he teaches them poetry and the power of poetry and the power of, just kind of being yourself, and there is a tragic circumstance, a young man who can't be himself, basically. And a very,
Kurtwood
very
Smith
kind of
plays
pushy
his
father. Yeah,
he plays a great prick.
Yeah, he plays great villains.
Yes. He's the main villain in RoboCop, or kind of the main villain in RoboCop.
Yeah, well, he's definitely one of the hoodlums or minions of the villain. But yeah, he's great in that. And and then you see him as the father on
70s show,
on that 70s show, where he's still that kind of character. Yeah, I'm gonna stick my foot up your ass or whatever. I mean, he's still this rough character, but in a comedic sense,
he's more likable as the father.
It's more likable
because that's what all of our fathers did. They did costume.
Yeah. Busting balls over here, busting balls. Which is kind of the opposite of what happened with Bryan Cranston, going from Malcolm in the Middle to Breaking Bad.
To Breaking Bad, yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, just another great performance from him and Ethan Hawke, and like you said, Kurtwood Smith, and he's this very inspiring character. Probably one of the best sort of teacher-student movies since maybe Goodbye, Mr. Chips. And of course, there's that iconic scene at the end where all the students are up on the desk and oh, Captain, my Captain. Just again, iconic scene.
And he had to rip out the first page of the book.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my number 2, and like I said, my number 3 is Mrs. Doubtfire, which we've already.
So we've gone through those now.
Wait, Rory. Rory, you're not going to weigh in about Dead Poets?
Again, what else can I say other than what he is? I was agreeing with him on this, and again, I talked about Kurtwood Smith, and again, a great cast of young upcoming actors. Ethan Hawke was actually very intimidated by Williams.
Right.
Thought he didn't like him.
Yep.
So
I read that the other
they
day
never really
too.
connected. Yeah, they never really connected during that.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, a lot of other young actors who went on to do other great roles in movies and stuff. No names other than Ethan are coming to mind, but yeah, I can look them up if you like. But yeah, he encapsulated it very nicely. It's about a teacher, and he's trying to show kids how to live life, basically. And because of this Karen parent,
Yes,
played by
very
Kurtwood Smith.
Karen. It's a very
Yeah,
Karen.
he actually is, and I'm giving a spoiler here. He's actually fired from his job,
Yeah.
for doing, something great for these kids.
Did that
And
resonate with you, like as a teacher? I know that you've taught kids before.
yeah, well, of course, I mean, I remember even in my junior high school days, I remember the good teachers, the ones that made a difference. I even called one of them one time when I was down in Miami, because that's where I grew up. Before I moved up to Lake City, I was in Miami and for junior high school, most of junior high school, and my English teacher was Mr. Ship, and that's exactly how he used to sound. And I called him. He always had trouble with the students. The students were always like doing terrible things to his car and stuff like that. And he was a good teacher. He was really good. He read to us, and he got me started with Edgar Allan Poe. Again, he was a great teacher, and teachers like that do make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Helps to
Absolutely.
mold them into the people that they become.
Yeah, I was a teacher as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I taught junior high, yeah. And every now and again, I'll run into somebody, a former student, and we're like, "Oh, Mr. Zamora, how are you? You look, and thank you for being our teacher." I know we were terrible people at the time.
They always apologize, right?
I had a very rowdy bunch. Not quite sweat hogs, but but somehow I managed to impart some kind of knowledge. I taught English. And so, I'm glad at least some of them remember me somewhat fondly. So
of course, yeah.
It mystifies me how poorly the teachers are treated here, as far as poor wages. Most of the good teachers, the really good teachers, will pay out of their pocket to have things in their room that the student will benefit from. They can't get it in their budget for the schools.
Right.
And they do it because they love it. And in China, teacher is like one of the highest jobs, one of the best jobs you can get. They highly revere teachers over there. There's even a teacher's day, like Mother's Day and Father's Day, over there. And again, the parents, if you're a teacher, you are highly respected over there by everyone.
And it's a shame.
So I was making more money than some doctors. As a foreign English teacher there, seriously. So
Renee, you want to weigh in a little bit on your feelings about Robin Williams or any of the movies we've already discussed?
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about Dead Poets Society because I think it's a transformational film, and we did talk about it with the Jack Black film, about School of Rock being more silly version of it. But Dead Poets Society is one of those films that I've watched multiple times, and to me, it's a microcosm of the universe. Whenever you try to do something a little outside the box, you're going to get the Karen, you're going to get the people that it does resonate with and it transforms their lives. You're going to get a lot of backlash, people who want to do things based on the status quo. And it was just so heartrending to see how it was just really heartbreaking to see that played out in a film the way it really is in real life. I mean, if you think of everyone from Jesus to Gandhi to Martin Luther King, anybody who goes out and tries to affect change, they're always vilified. And so you're seeing that he's teaching poetry, he's teaching the romantics. And how do you do that? By reading it out of a book or memorizing it just by rote, and just it's antithetical to everything you're trying to teach. So he tries to really bring it in and open these boys' hearts up and their minds and really make them think. He's trying to teach them not just content, but how to think and emote like a poet. So he's trying to have them live the education. And it's like, the school's kind of like an Exeter and Andover. It's kind of like a very prestigious boarding school.
Right.
And they do not want that. They want you to sit here and you memorize stuff, and that's the way we're doing it. And it is very tragic. And I talk about this all the time, is about how we need to be able to encourage people of all ages to live their passion, because otherwise it's so detrimental to happiness. And a lot of people don't want to live anymore. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but people don't even want to live when you take away their spirit and what drives them. So to me, it's a very important, I think it's a seminal movie, and I think it's important for our culture. I love introducing people to that movie. I love having people say, oh my gosh, I just saw it for the first time. And, you know, it still resonates with me very much. So I'm glad it was included.
Before I saw that movie, oh, where are you going, Renee? What?
All right. I'm here.
Before I saw that movie, I hated poetry. I couldn't stand it. I didn't like poetry. Couldn't stand it. Mm-hmm. I just didn't get it. And that movie helped me to understand better, and to start thinking, you know, along the lines of reading poetry. And when I went to China and I was teaching English, poetry was one of the things that I would teach my kids. And Oh Captain, My Captain, mm-hmm. Walt Whitman. That was part of the chapter. That was part of the poetry chapter that I would teach those kids. Yeah. So that they would understand when they heard it. Oh, that's the Walt Whitman thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And but also, you know, a bunch of other Frost and Sylvia Plath and a bunch of other famous poets from Shelley and Keats on up to modern.
Right.
To give them a kind of a knowledge, a working knowledge of poetry, so they know what people are talking about when they meet them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you actually incorporated some of the movie, or the things that you learned from the movie. You incorporated it a little bit.
Oh, Captain, My Captain was in the chapter, was in the unit that I taught.
It's so cool.
Walt Whitman, along with a couple of others by Walt Whitman.
Oh yeah, Whitman.
And Oscar Wilde, and just again, I wanted to give them just a kind of a working knowledge of what we talk about. Mm-hmm. With poetry, so that they know they're on board.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay,
I wouldn't even have thought about that if I hadn't seen Dead Poetry.
Right, that's what you're getting at, exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it as a teenager, and then I saw it again in my 20s, and I saw it again in my 30s. And it's interesting too how it resonated with me on different vibrations, I think, depending on how old I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what is the next? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I've always been a fan of poetry for a long time. Didn't always understand it. Didn't always understand what they were talking about. But then I didn't have a teacher like Robin Williams, obviously, or his character. But I did have a really good teacher, English teacher, who, in college taught a poetry class. And I started to understand, more and more. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what they're talking about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the uses of metaphor, the uses of, why meter is so important and so on. Even in the ones that are more freestyle, there's always, like E.E. Cummings and all those guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The more free.
The blank verse.
Still, the blank verse, but they still imparted an incredible amount of meaning within that. That poetry didn't always have to rhyme; it always had to have a rhyme scheme. But that there was still something that you could glean from that. But anyway,
right? So, absolutely.
So what's our number? Are we up to number 4?
Number 4.
What's our number 4 pick?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Interesting. That's actually my 4th pick as well. So there you go.
We finally picked one together.
We finally picked one together. Yeah, Adrian Cronauer.
Yeah.
Real life
playing
person.
The cool tunes for the boys out there in Vietnam.
Yes.
And Bruno Kirby as his foil. Yeah. And if you do,
yes.
It's and again, it's the beginnings, I think, of his dramatic I think he did that one before he did Good Will Hunting and
Mhm.
Dead Poet Society. So I think this was actually the beginnings of them starting to realize, oh, he can do drama as well as, to be honest with you, I've never seen The World According to Garp. I haven't. I know it's the movie that gave us Glenn Close. And
Close.
I know that it has John Lithgow in it
John
as
Lithgow.
a transgender transvestite. But I've never seen it. I
It's a
don't
good
know
movie.
how I've missed it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I think the reviews on it were not that great, and that's probably what steered me away from it at the time.
Yeah. It's and like a lot of movies, it's not as good as the book, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a good movie though. I
Yeah. I need to
really
see it.
enjoyed it.
I need to see it.
I saw it
But Good
many
Morning
years ago.
Vietnam is got some wonderful dramatic parts in it. It's got wonderful comedy from Robin
Oh,
Williams, of course.
yeah. And most of it ad-libbed. They let him say,
Mhm.
that you go nuts. Directed by Mike Nichols, who's a wonderful
Yes.
comedy director,
Yes.
or just director, period. Yeah. It started off, Cronauer tried to pitch it as a TV show based on his experiences with the Armed Forces
Okay.
Radio. MASH was on at the time. It was kind of winding
Mm-hmm.
down. He said, "Well, here's another comedy," and the network turned it down. Said, "No, we don't want to do another." It, Vietnam was still pretty fresh.
We don't want to do Vietnam.
And we don't want to do Vietnam just yet. So he tried to sell it as a movie, or as a TV movie, and again, but then somebody picked it up and said, "Okay, we'll do it as a movie," and then it got into Robin Williams' hands, and where it got pitched to Robin Williams, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do this."
And
But
there
then
it is.
they changed a lot of it and really fictionalized it. So only a couple of things were actually based on his life, and the rest of it was just their own imagination. Like he didn't get thrown out of Vietnam. He was honorably discharged. He left on his own accord, and so a lot of the things that happened in the movie, the only thing he said that actually happened was that there was an explosion at a restaurant that he had just been in,
Mm-hmm.
and the subsequent sort of censoring of the event. So that really happened,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else was pure fiction. But still, he praised Robin Williams' version of him, and how they,
Well, of course.
like I said, they just let him loose on. And he does have one of my favorite, the line that I just died on was when he turns to his commanding officer and says, he says, "This man, I've never met a man more in need of a blowjob than this man."
Yeah. I had a feeling that was the one you were going to say.
Yes. J.T. Walsh as his kind of nemesis, and of course, like you mentioned, Bruno Kirby. But yeah, wonderful performance from Williams.
And the commander actually says the line as he's walking away because he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Which is another great bit for that part of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the actor's name that played him. He's a character actor that's done a lot of stuff. I want to say no, it's Noble Willingham. That's what it is. I don't have to look at it. It's Noble Willingham.
And Forrest Whitaker, one of his early roles, he's in it as well. Who's actually a fan of Cronauer, Robin Williams. Just all around great movie.
Yeah, it's a fun watch. Again, it gets a little serious, dramatic at the end, but it's a fun movie to watch. It's a fun performance of Robin Williams to watch.
Yeah.
Like you say, because of all the bits he came up with on set, they're brilliant. My number 5 is he's actually a supporting character in this movie, but he does such a good job of it. I had to put it on the list. The Birdcage. because
And that's number 5 too. The
he
Birdcage.
plays funny. He plays straight man to Nathan. It's basically Nathan Lane's comedy. But Williams plays straight man to him, and he's wonderful. He's delightful, and again, he gets a lot of good lines in too.
Oh yeah,
You know, as Bud Abbott did when he was working with Costello. You know, it's just a delightful movie. That was Mike Nichols too, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. I might be wrong about.
Let me take a look.
Yeah, no, I think
it says Mike Nichols right here.
On the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says it right there. That's like,
Mike Nichols comedy. There you go.
Yeah,
and Gene Hackman in it.
Gene Hackman
is surprisingly funny.
Yeah, Gene Hackman and Diane Wiest as the parents of Calista Flockhart's character,
and Hank Azaria. With his big shoes.
Azaria with the big shoes. Yeah, Agador. You cannot. You cannot stand my Guatemalaness, my hotness. You cannot take it. Oh my gosh!
Very funny movie.
No, please don't go.
Really
Don't go.
funny movie.
Oh my god!
Extremely well done.
Yeah, very well. And of course, it's based on originally a French movie, La Cage aux Folles.
La Cage aux Folles. Which
and I'm gonna be a little bit of a movie snob. I mean, the original it's the better movie, and I just have this thing about foreign movies and American remakes not always being as good, but The Birdcage is as close to a good
American
the
Hollywood
remake.
treatment. Yeah,
it got the Hollywood treatment, but I think the cast saves it. I think Robin Williams
in good hands,
and Nathan Lane absolutely save it. Mike Nichols really pulls out really good performances from them, and Christine Baranski is in it as the mother of their son. You know, the little one night stand that and there's that wonderful scene where she and Williams' character Armand they kind of reconcile, and they have a little dance number, and it's just a wonderful little movie. So yeah,
your money's on the dresser, Cupcake.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the news hounding him. Of course, that makes no difference today if a politician is caught doing anything like that.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was very funny.
Yeah. And having Hackman plays this very uptight, very obviously, very kind of, I guess, conservative politician, and then wind up having to dress him up in drag to be able to get him out of the club and everything. It just and of course Williams doing his ad libs, and there's a scene where they're behind in the kitchen, and he comes in and he slips and falls, and that was completely unplanned, but he plays it off so brilliantly. He just stands up. It's like, okay, we gotta move on, you know. And they were going to reshoot it and said, no, we're going to keep that. That was perfect. So
it was wonderful.
Yeah, just a great performance all the way around.
Yeah, delightful movie.
So
great cast, delightful movie, and wonderful bits. And the scene where he's trying to teach him to be manly is, again, just that scene alone. And they realized that John Wayne kind of walked swishy when he walked. I pierced the toast. Oh my God. That's worth the price of admission right there. Just that scene. So
yeah.
I forgot that he walked like that. Yes, Robin Williams is the topic.
Yep.
We've gone through our 5 picks. We're on our honorable mentions. I told you Baron Munchausen is on my honorable mention.
Baron Munchausen, yeah.
As the Moon King.
And he's actually listed in the credits as Ray de Tutu or Ray de Tuto. And of course, we're introduced to Uma Thurman, and we get to see Uma Thurman naked, which again, you know,
that
alone makes this on my top list.
And of all people that she's with, Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed, yeah. slightly oversexed.
It's Jonathan Pryce. It's a wonderful movie with a wonderful cast. Catherine Hellman. Oh yes, I could go on and on and on and on. There's just all kinds of little cameos of people, popping in and doing things.
Yeah.
Again, it was incredibly expensive.
Ian Holm as Napoleon.
Yes.
No,
Eric
I want the
Idle.
funny with the little people hitting each other. Yeah.
It's just a delightful cast, wonderful film, lots of fun. Wow, you can see the budget throughout the movie. You see all those millions being spent as you're watching it. It's just very grandiose, over the top.
Yeah.
But that's Munchausen, Baron Munchausen was.
Yeah, it had to be.
It's an adventure. It's a huge adventure.
Yeah.
And
Gilliam said, he was glad that he got the role or the part, got to direct Fisher King. He said he was kind of tired of doing the big budget, and he knew that he was going over budget and all that, and he was tired of the hassle of it. And so, when they approached him to do Fisher King, he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Sure, yeah. And he knew too that this was going to be a make or break for him as far as Hollywood was concerned. So one of my other honorable mentions is Jumanji.
Okay.
Another great. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought Robert Williams playing the young boy coming back from this weird adventure, and it's a nice little movie. And you mentioned Popeye, which
I feel the same way about Hook.
And Hook,
having him play,
Peter Pan
an
as
older
an
Peter
adult.
Pan who is forgotten and he has to go back to being Peter Pan again.
Yeah.
That deserves an honorable mention.
That's another one of my honorable mentions, as is Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting is an honorable mention on my list as well.
And again, every movie has that moment of Williams just killing it and ad-libbing, and that line at the end where he says, "Son of a bitch, stole my line."
Stole my line.
That was ad-libbed.
Yeah, they did like 10 different takes of different lines that he would come up with, and that's the one they stuck with.
Yeah, that's the one that stuck. Yeah.
Kind of like, this never happened to the other fella. George
exactly.
Is
yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
And you break the fourth wall.
Yeah. And there were some other movies too that didn't make my list, but like Moscow on the Hudson, one of his early roles.
Yeah. I thought that was going to make my list, but unfortunately it did not.
Yeah.
I had to mention one of his last roles, which was World's Greatest Dad, which is it's Bob Goldthwait who directed it, a story by Bob Goldthwait directed it. And Bob Goldthwait has a really dark sense of humor,
Oh yeah.
And this is about a guy whose son commits suicide, or actually he dies by accident from asphyxiation erotica. And his father comes home and finds him, and he writes this thing. He's a writer, and he writes this thing about and says that his son wrote it, about how he was misunderstood and how the kids didn't like him. The truth is, his son was an asshole to everybody.
Yeah.
And it, all of a sudden it becomes this big thing where all the school is mourning the death of his son, and then the television gets involved, and then they're talking movie rights and stuff, and eventually he realizes, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep this going. This is so it's an interesting movie, kind of depressing, but an interesting dark comedy.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, because this is one of my favorite movies, and I think it's the type of movie where it's by word of mouth. Like, I forget who told me about it, but everyone who mentions it, it's like a little clan where people know about this movie. I highly recommend it because, yeah, Bob Cat is amazing as a writer here. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Bob is a big music fan, and he has really great music in it. But it's also a commentary on society and how things can be shaped by whatever you say. It's like this fake journal that the dad does to try to paint his son into this almost like a saint type person when the opposite was true. And there's it's not a very long movie. It's not a huge investment of your time. I can't imagine anyone not liking it. It's just, it's really cool. And there's this big moment where he gets naked and he jumps and he dives into the school pool, and Under Pressure is playing from Queen. And it's that moment of this is a spoiler, but who cares? I don't think the movie was about, spoilers. It's a heart movie, but he just admits the truth. And what that's like when you're living this lie, and you did it for a good reason. He was trying to protect his son's legacy. He didn't want his son to have that humiliation or stain on his reputation of dying in a weird way or whatever. And he just tells the truth. I made it all up. It's, and he's free. He's free from lying about it, and he can just relax. And it's just that beautiful moment. And so it's a movie that has layers to it and heart. You're not going to get a lot of chuckles, but it is lighthearted in some respect. But then it's really dark, like Rory said. It's a dark horse. I feel like people should take a chance on it and just watch it and see what happens. And it's very Robin Williams too. It's one of his great roles. And of course, Robin Williams died intending to, commit suicide by asphyxiation. So people in the wake of his death kept making all these parallels to this movie. And this movie kind of got noted.
Thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. People were like, oh, it's a weird coincidence or whatever. I don't really know, but that's why people were talking about it a lot. So people did.
Yeah, they were saying that this movie may have given him the idea to do that.
Right. That's what people were saying. Yeah.
Because he had just done it a couple of years prior,
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting too that there's a similar scene in Fisher King where he gets naked in the park in the middle of Central Park, and at first Jeff Bridges' character is appalled. He's like,
"Oh, I like
what are you doing?" But then at the end, there's that sort of after their sort of cathartic moments where they both feel free enough to, they're both naked in the park looking up at the sky, and that's the end of the movie. So
beautiful. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So, this idea of being free, of just being authentic, being yourself.
Being yourself, yeah.
So Manny wants you to see The Fisher King, and Renee and I want you to see The World's Greatest Dad.
There you go.
Okay. Yes.
That's the takeaway.
You're on. Yes.
And he also did things like Bicentennial Man, where he plays the robot that evolves over time. It was kind of interesting. And
how does the AI work out in that?
It's kind of interesting. I haven't seen. To be honest, I haven't seen Bicentennial Man in a long time. I felt it was kind of a little too schmaltzy for me. It's just a little too This is
kind of like Heart Beeps.
Yeah, kind of like Heart
Peters and
oh my gosh,
Andy Kaufman.
Heart Beeps is like a traumatic experience.
Yeah,
traumatic experience.
It is traumatic. And my
friends
friends and I used to always say, like, was it meant to be that bad? And it's like, no, it was not meant to be that bad.
Yeah,
we read up all about it. But anyways, I love Andy Kaufman, but
I did. And one movie we haven't mentioned,
but I never forgave him for that.
I never did either. I never
did.
No, that's what I'm saying that you were saying, but I never forgave him for that.
I never did.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
you haven't seen it? Oh,
no.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
I feel like you don't need those nightmares, Rory.
Yeah.
You don't need those.
And there was a really beautiful movie that he did, which we haven't mentioned, was What Dreams May Come.
Oh
which
yeah,
again
of
was
course.
kind of one of those weirdly ironic
That was just-
movies.
That one was just too weird for me.
Yeah, yeah, but the cinematography and the
Oh, it's
imagery is so
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah,
All the
it does have great
colors and
cinematography
yeah,
and special effects,
but
it's
it's
such a
kind
really
of
dark subject.
kind of a
and-
remake or a retelling of the story of Orpheus
Right. Yeah.
going into the underworld, searching
From
for his
the-
wife, and so on and so forth. Had that kind of weirdly mythic feel to it. But yeah, it's one of those movies you see once and it's like, oh, okay, well that was interesting, and then you move on. But you know, I don't think it's really as memorable as some of the other ones we talked about. But anyway, so yeah,
Some
good
people
choices.
absolutely adore that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh
it's,
yeah, and
it's painting, if you'll excuse the expression, of the other side.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
true love
literally.
is this idea that you will follow your beloved wherever. You know how people will say, I love you.
Right.
I would go to hell. I would get you from
Go to hell and back. Yeah.
I would go to, and there are people, and I think it resonates too with people who might be in a relationship with someone who's suffering, like maybe an addict or something, and somebody
yeah.
trying to support them. You know, if you see someone that you love who's going through hell, in a proverbial way,
Mhm.
how much do you love someone that you will be there for them and go through that with them? It's kind of like this ideal of true love. So I think that plays out on the screen. And of course, like Manny said, it's based on mythology. So you do get this bigger than life fairy tale type quality. And, but a lot of very deep, dark emotions. He's literally in hell. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's another movie called Toys that I almost forgot about.
Yeah.
Where he plays the toy maker. Is kind of almost a Willy Wonka type character. But there's that imagery of it comes based on Matisse, you know, with the bowler hats and
Yeah.
But again, not an entirely memorable movie.
No.
I saw it once, and it was like, okay,
Joan
that was
Cusack's
cute.
nice in it.
Yeah,
he's cute, but there's it's
not
like you're
particularly-
waiting for him to cut loose for the whole movie, and he really doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
You know?
kind of, and you would think, I mean, that would be the perfect character for him to just bust loose and be, Robin Williams. I'm a
This is
toy
what
maker.
happens when the
Look at me.
studio says no. Don't let him improvise.
Yeah, and it just
Just stick to the
could have
script. It's a
been
good script.
really memorable, but yeah, no, it was one of the more forgettable ones. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like I said, I saw it, I liked it, but it was like, okay, and then promptly forgot about it. So, anywho, okay, so that's and what I was trying to remember before the show,
Mhm.
the topic was speaking of it was Terry Gilliam. Terry Gilliam's
Oh, okay.
movies, but I didn't know if we wanted to do two directors back to back because really wanted to do.
We've actually talked about a lot of his stuff on different shows,
yeah,
and it's limited. I mean, he only has a handful of movies.
yeah. So,
I mean, the only one I think we haven't talked about is Dr. Parnassus, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah,
But we've talked about Time Bandits and the Monty Python films.
yeah. So we'll come up with something else for next time.
Okay, but wait, hold on, guys. Wait, we're
Oh.
not done yet because first of all, I want to play the thing that has Manny's song underneath it, which is Critical Thinking, and I do have some reviews.
Okay,
But I only have bad reviews of Death to Smoochie. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but I think we're gonna
That
go
deserves
down.
bad reviews.
I saw
I
it
think
once,
it's
yeah.
so. Here's some Manny
I got my
music.
popcorn ready now.
Right, Manny
All
music,
right,
and then
all
I will
right.
read some Death to Smoochie review. Okay, so Death to Smoochie is really an abysmal film on every level. Here's what some reviews from Rotten Tomatoes. Death to Smoochie. No, I like this one. I'm sure that some country, maybe France or something, will hail this as a work of genius because it is so incredibly awful. I love that.
He's a genius, you friends.
Somebody said, this is a particularly toxic little bonbon, palatable to only a chosen and very jaundiced few. Okay. Rarely does something so tasteless on the surface produce such depth. I hope this finds its audience. This would bring the house down with the right midnight audience. It had one good review, like one person. His name is Corey Woodruff, and he's wearing a suit, and he's very proud of Death to Smoochie. So Corey, there you go. Somebody else said,
shout out to you, Corey.
Shout out to you,
like
Corey. This is very, I like this one. Death to Smoochie is a cry likely to be heard by ticket buyers as well. This is a movie.
Surprise.
I love that. And then someone said the result comes out loud, brash, vulgar, and considerably entertaining. Okay, so somebody liked it. And then here's a top critic named Michael Wilmington. And Michael said, a dark comedy that blows up like an exploding cigar, leaving nothing much behind but smoke, noise, and a bad taste. There you go.
Wow.
That had Tom Arnold in it, right?
I don't even remember who the hell was it? Oh gosh, it was
Didn't
so
they have
dark.
a fight with like a Barney the dinosaur lookalike?
Yes, it's all a Barney the dinosaur, and it's not fun. You think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And I did not listen because everybody told me, don't watch it. There's no redeeming quality. And I'm like, it's Robin Williams. It's Robin Williams. It's got a Barney dinosaur.
Something in it, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm watching it and I'm like looking at my clock and I'm like, how could it literally have no redeeming quality? I've never seen a film that has no redeeming quality.
Okay. I bet you can find bad reviews for a movie called RV.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. But
RV,
RV, though, could be interesting sometimes. At least it was entertaining, I think. I mean, it was bad, but it was like entertaining.
Not one of his best.
It wasn't Death to Smoochie bad, though. Anyway.
It wasn't.
It was.
That's going to be a t-shirt. It wasn't Death to Smoochie
Death
bad.
to Smoochie bad is like the
We
worst.
said that on the show for decades. Oh, well, you know, it wasn't Death to Smoochie bad.
It was bad, but it wasn't Death to Smoochie bad.
We should have like a spectrum or like a meter.
Yeah.
And Death to Smoochie is like the catastrophe.
Manny, was it Death to Smoochie bad?
Few things are that bad.
Good, but it wasn't Death to Smoochie bad. Yeah, that's going to be our metric from now on how bad a movie is.
That's got to be on Two Guys merch. Like, there's going to be merch for the show, and there's a meter.
No,
it wasn't Death to Smoochie bad.
It wasn't. Our opinion is.
There's a Smoochie-o-meter, and
the
where does it fall on the Smoochie-o-meter?
There you go. There you go. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
With Death to Smoochie being at the very bottom.
Yeah, RV was basically I think they were trying to remake National Lampoon's Vacation or something.
Maybe.
It was, but no. We didn't need that. We did not need that. So
it wasn't Death to Smoochie bad, but it wasn't
Death to Smoochie bad.
But it was pretty bad.
But it was pretty bad. It was another
I
one.
can't even remember who played his wife in that.
Who knows?
I should look that up.
Yeah, let's look that up.
Let's see if I can find a bad review too for you.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh man, come on now.
Oh, let's see here.
Undo typing.
Okay.
RV. 2006. All right. Cheryl Hines.
Cheryl Hines, really? Oh, and she's
Kristen Chenoweth. JoJo. Jeff Daniels was in it. I was surprised Jeff Daniels was in it. Will Arnett was in it.
Wow. You know, you would think, oh. Wow, it's directed by Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Addams Family, the Men in Black movie.
The poster
those are actually good
How
movies.
does this get an honorable mention? Come on now.
Wow.
It's represented. It's in there. You mentioned it. It pops up. That's what can I say?
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, they gave the whole ball of wax to Williams, and there's a very kind of limited premise. Okay, it's all the stuff that goes bad when you take an RV out on a road trip. And there's invariably going to be poo-poo jokes, where you try to unload your poo-poo somewhere.
Yeah.
And and the people you meet.
Yeah. Maybe originally this was supposed to be the crazy family from Vacation. And they said, nah, we can't. Yeah, this guy's already gone.
Okay. Picture this. It's Vacation, but with Robin Williams.
Take my money.
I can see the pitch now.
I can see that.
Who plays his wife? It doesn't matter. It's Robin Williams.
See, but you could see how it could work, though, because if somebody said, okay, look, it's going to be Robin Williams and Cheryl Hines, and they're going to be on a road trip, and it's all about the characters that they meet and the places that they go, and hijinks ensue. I mean, honestly,
we've already got Jeff Daniels.
There's a way to.
What was what he did with Dumb and Dumber?
I got myself on board because I want to see that movie. Like, if they executed it properly, like, come on, like Cheryl Hines and Robin Williams just riffing on each other and introducing and like maybe eccentric people that they meet along the way that have their own little stories. That could be a whole fucking series. I would have watched that.
All right, so it
Jeff
has
Daniels,
a 24%.
The guy that did the poo-poo jokes in Dumb and Dumber.
It has a 24% rating on the tomato meter, and a 45% on the audience scale. Oh,
where's the reviews?
It's
better than its reputation. Oh my God, a lot better than I expected. Oh my gosh, I'm still laughing while writing my review. Oh my gosh,
what?
A very good family comedy. It's a silly and funny road trip comedy for the entire family.
Where are you seeing this?
On IMDb.
Oh, IMDb. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm still laughing.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
RV is a silly and fun road trip comedy for the entire family. Give Robin Williams a break. Surprisingly good movie, lots of fun. The story has lots of amusement, fun, giggles, and is pretty entertaining. Do I need to go rewatch this movie? Right? I remember it being horrendously unfunny when I watched it. I mean, not that's a smooshy bad, but I mean, crazy, wacky, disgusting adventure.
Oh,
family road trip, no surprises, just a silly road movie again. Leave Robin Williams alone. Entertainingly funny film, quite literally a laugh riot.
Oh, a laugh riot! Wow.
It's like Family Vacation meets Cheaper by the Dozen too. Oh, with a title like that, what a review!
Oh.
Bob Monroe, lots of fun. Oscar winner Robert Williams. Robert, they call him Robert Williams. Does it again. Fun movie. Whenever a big white man picks up a banjo, my cheeks tighten. I'm not sure what that's about. How many movies Kristen Chenoweth was in last year, but 3 comprised her nomination for Worst Supporting Actress: Deck the Halls, Pink Panther, and this movie.
Wow.
Well-paced silliness, passable if you're in the mood. Okay, now we're getting more to the... Are you happy? You will be if you see RV. They are no Griswolds. Okay, now we're going. Truly hilarious. Good, clean fun in the Rockies. Take Another Road. There we go. Now we're getting to it. This is perhaps the driest performance I've ever seen from Robin Williams. I might have smiled and almost chuckled a time or two, but this film never once made me laugh. There you go. Pretty bad and predictable. Well, I wasted my time, but there were a couple of good laughs. Okay, so what happened is this movie came out. They were giving it bad reviews, and then Robin Williams died. This is my guess. So then all these people come in. It's a wonderful movie. It's fantastic. Leave Robin Williams alone. Come on, he's a genius. We're all allowed to have a bad one every now and again, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just do it for the money. As sad as that is, you know.
But at least it wasn't, Death to Smoochie bad.
It wasn't Death to Smoochie bad.
It wasn't Death to Smoochie bad. Oh my goodness.
Tom Arnold, The Kiss of Death to comedy. I shouldn't say that. He's probably a very nice guy.
Oh, he was good in True Lies.
Yeah, actually he was, and he was good as in his cameo in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery.
Yeah,
as the Texas guy in the casino in Vegas in the restroom.
Mm-hmm.
Who does number 2 work for? That's right, buddy. You give it to him. Hey, how about a courtesy flush there, huh? Come on.
Yeah.
And I look kind of like Tom Arnold.
Yeah, little bit.
All right. Well, we've got an hour and 21 minutes now. So, as expected on a Robin Williams show,
Yeah. You gotta. Okay.
So what are we doing next week?
Tom Arnold movies. No.
My top 3.
Because
he's only done like 3 or 4.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Any comments from the peanut gallery? Anything you'd like to see us talk about?
Renee,
like popcorn residue.
I don't see any. I know that what was the one that Jamie kept wanting? Was that Tim Burton that we already did?
Yeah, we did Tim Burton.
We did Tim Burton.
But there was something that Jamie kept asking for, and I can't recall what that was.
Great set decorating. Who did the best sets for which movies?
Well, we could do topical, like best, something movies. I don't know, like
Edith Head, costume designer. What were her best costumes? No cape styling.
Best episodes of Columbo. Go.
That was him doing her. Anyway.
Yeah.
Best Columbo. Excuse me, pardon me, but she just wanted to do that. She wanted me to do that impression. I know that's why she did that.
Yeah, it's a lot of this.
Excuse me. I just gotta know why would you do that?
Look, I don't want to bother you, but I got one more question. Can I ask you one more question? I don't want to bother you here.
Hey, here's an idea.
Dueling Columbos.
Here's an idea. We just lost Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a tribute show to Alan Arkin?
Really? Oh wow. Yeah. Let's do Alan Arkin. He's got a.
The Russians are coming. The Russians
career.
are coming.
Oh my God, a massive career.
The Heart of the
in
Lonely
business.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Wait
stuff.
Until Dark, Mr. Rote.
Yeah.
Those guys wanted to kill me. I knew they wanted to kill me. He's wonderful in that. Just so sinister. And then he turns around and he plays Inspector Clouseau.
That's right. I forgot
he was the second actor to play Clouseau.
Yeah.
He took over for Peter Sellers for one movie. I blame it on the script, not his performance. I thought his performance was good. I just thought the shtick was kind of stupid.
Pretty much all of them after Sellers just for some reason just didn't have that. I don't know. They just couldn't figure it out. Of course, 99% of it was because of Peter Sellers.
We could talk about Pink Panther movies.
Yeah. No,
but
let's
anyway,
do Arkin.
Let's do Alan
Arkin.
Yeah.
Arkin. He had a good, nice long career.
Yeah, because he's got a very long, varied career.
And a
lot of
very varied performances. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
all right. Well, there you go.
Yes. And then we'll do
That's
Scorsese in 2 weeks. And then we're on vacation.
Yeah. Yes.
Up into September.
I think that's the one that Jamie has been asking for. Is
I think you're right too. I just recalled that. Yeah. You're right.
So.
Well, okay then.
All right, Alan Arkin and Martin Scorsese.